Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else. Welcome to Berlin, Germany for Fnatic taking on Team Heretics. My name is Quickshot. I'm joined at the cast today by Dagda and Caedrel ahead of this best of 5, do or die. Win, and you are in season finals on the road to Montpellier. You have a shot at XL tomorrow. You have a shot at the summer season finals. Lose, and you are done for the year. The stakes couldn't be higher.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking to see both these squads that are the two that are in this situation, because with the improvements they have made this split, it feels like it'd be so good to see both of them make it, but unfortunately that's not how this competition works.
Sad, isn't it? Sad to see one of them go, because I think both these teams are obviously peaking right now. I mean, we've had 9 teams in our top 4 across the entirety of the year. I think Laure put it well. It's like one split can turn your entire year around, right? But it's just a case of win this best of 5 and you've made it. If you lose this best of 5, it's a quick 5-month vacation.
The stakes could not be higher. We're moments away from picks and bans for Fnatic and Heretics. So Fnatic had side selection. They elected to play on the blue side. Dagda, we've had the pleasure of watching many of their games and casting them over the last few weeks. What do you think the priorities are going to be coming into this one? I mean, Rell, Maokai, Kai'Sa's already banned away.
Yeah, well, myself and Mark were talking about backstage about what we wanted to see. So the Kai'Sa already taken away from Vetheo was a great start. I think LeBlanc on red side is going to be an easy one. We both thought, though, that the Zaya will be left open, and you're kind of looking more towards things like the Ivern that Fnatic have traditionally banned away when they're on blue side, or even trying to take away things like the Maokai that's been such a big pick.
Yeah, Maokai first pick is available right now. Rumble could be a first pick too. That's already taken away now as well, so that's a bit of a pinch. Tristana as well is the next first pick in line for me for Fnatic if Rumble's down as a flex.
Also the Jayce as well has been a massive one. Humanoid's been working really well on it. Vtheo's played in the past and is spamming it in solo queue, so there's a lot of big picks that are now up and around.
Yeah, Jayce, Maokai, Tristana. What's the direction that Fnatic want to ban away here? I think a Maokai ban could make sense. And then look for the AD first pick, but then Sejuani becomes really strong, right? They're going to take away Ebby's Renekton, so that denies a little bit of the Sejuani Renekton.
Feels a little surprising to me to see the Zaya, the Renekton on the blue side when you consider those other power picks, but obviously leaving them in the pool means at least you're going to get 1, maybe 2 of them. Dagda, what's your take on this? Obviously with that Maokai, the Rell, both still open and available, both picks that could be considered.
Yeah, my question is more, yes, we could potentially see the Maokai ban here, but what's the plan for bot lane? Because we were kind of chatting backstage about you taking the Zaya on the first rotation here for Fnatic and then kind of having yourself in a good spot, but Jayce is going to be left open and available. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Maokai taken away here on the opposite side here, just to make sure that you're in a good spot here for Jankos. And then you could end up going for probably the AD carry, honestly. Get Flakked on something comfortable and try and pinch that pool for Noah.
This stings. I feel like Heretics probably wanted Fnatic to go Maokai so they could play some kind of Jayce Ziggs comp. That would be ideal with Kai'Sa Zaya ban. So this is a bit annoying, I think, here for Heretics. You kind of have to take away the Maokai unless, you know, Jankos does want to play something like the Trundle Internet. The Rell pickup makes a lot of sense, and there's the Maokai denial. Now Fnatic, they've banned away Kai'Sa and Zaya on purpose. Are they early rotating some kind of a Philios here? Sejuani would be a nice AP jungler to pick up before it drops through, but I feel like Poppy is also another really strong jungler that teams sometimes overlook.
Yeah, I think Poppy could be really strong. Other option is go towards something like a Varus in the bot lane, get a bit of that AP damage in there. At least then you can kind of support yourself through that way, because we've seen Noah doesn't really play things like the Ziggs, but actually just going to go back towards the Trundle. So this is something that Fnatic were really good at against SK, was playing around Razork on this more aggressive style, particularly around that bottom side. So pushing bot into trying to play for Trundle could be the option here for Fnatic.
And 2 things about that. This Trundle pick, while Razork has only played it once this year, picked up a win. All time, it's his 3rd most played champion. 72% win rate with 28 games. I mean, there's a lot of experience on that particular pick. A slightly different direction. It will be the Cassante locked in, so solo lane is secured. We still haven't found an answer. What is happening in that bottom lane, Dagda?
Yeah, I think this is where the problem that you have is Flakked is definitely more comfortable when it comes towards the bottom lane champion pool. Like, we've seen the Seraphines, we've seen Ziggs, we've seen him bring out a whole wide variety of different things. So I think you've got a little bit more variety there for Heretics, especially if you are looking at an AD mid laner now coming through. You could even opt in towards something like the Ziggs, but I think for Noah, I imagine they are trying to aim towards something that's a bit more AP heavy for themselves, like that Varus.
AD mids were the biggest question mark here when Tristana and Jayce are taken away. It looks like Yone for Vetheo picking that one up to make sure that they're not playing any kind of Azir Maokai lane. I wonder if they are going to go for an AP bot, but Yone does have a little bit of hybrid damage. I'm just worried for Fnatic if Varus is taken away here, what Noah's going to be playing.
This is only the 4th time that Vetheo has ever played Yone. Of his 3 previous games, he's only picked up that single win. and immediately Team Heretics focusing down some of those bot lane options. The Braum has already been removed from the pool.
I'm also curious to exactly where Fnatic are going to put these champions, because you can actually flex the Jayce into the top side if you wanted to. You can move the K'Sante to mid, so there's still a little bit of flexibility there. So even though you are up against the Yone in the mid lane, you could just stick a K'Sante in there, nullify the lane, and then have that pushing lane on top that I think Fnatic have been doing really well with just supporting Oscarinin to do his thing.
There's a Seraphine ban. Maybe they're looking to take away these AP carries. Ziggs next on the list for Flakked. Braum taken away. Alistar ban wouldn't surprise me too much either, but I'm just sitting here thinking Varus and Zeri are now up, so I don't think Fnatic will struggle to find an AD carry now that the Braum bans come through and they're trying to cover off this Rell, obviously. The Rell's not a flex with the Maokai next to her. But I also am a bit curious what Evi's going to do for top lane. You know, we've seen his Renekton, it's great. Renekton's banned. K'Sante's his next plate, that's picked away. Barring that, it's just tanks. So we'll have to see what he plays. Probably a tank for the rest of this comp.
Yeah, opportunity here to maybe go for something like Emilio Lucian as well. You just try and play for poke with the Jayce, the Lucian culling as well, and see what you can do. But there's a lot of hard engage on Heretics, which may not be ideal. But I think no matter what you do here for Noah, like, you're going to be pretty immobile and you're going to struggle with that anyway.
I think this is where the patch comes back to bite Fnatic a little bit. We haven't seen Trymbi Alistar that much, and I feel like Alistar is just the pick into Rell. Ash taken away for some kind of engage from Heretics. Ash Rell lane denied. They could look to counterpick AD if they want. I mean, what you're looking at now is Varus, Aphelios, Zeri, really. I mean, we saw Jinx Thresh from Fnatic, but that's banned away, the Thresh, and I think Jinx without that Thresh is a little bit too immobile.
Can I put a number to that, Caedrel? You said we haven't seen that much Trymbi Alistar. Do you know of his 300-odd professional games? He has 3 Alistar games in his history. All of them were wins, of course, and with both Ash, the Seraphine, Braum Thresh removed from the pool, Flakked is now locked in that Varus. Now we'll get the answer. What do Noah and Trymbi want to do? Don't know whether they want to go for some sort of AP poke. We were talking a little bit about potential options in that bottom lane as well.
Yeah, I think the problem here is that Fnatic, what they'd like to do is try and use the push the Jayce will have in mid lane, and also the push you get in bot side now to lean in, play on bot side, and try and get in the face of Jankos. But it is a bit of an issue now, because I don't think the Zeri's really going to be able to combat a lot of the push that the Varus will have. I know you're both going to be rushing Static Shield, but I think you're actually in an okay spot here as Heretics to try and deal with a lot of that.
Yeah, Rakan's open too, so Zeri Rakan's an easy one. Don't go for the Alistar into the lane phase itself, but Trymbi Rakan is probably one, I think it's his most played champion, most successful champion at least. Another direction they could have gone in is a Kalista lane, but Fnatic, I think being pinched this hard, Heretics can kind of now guess that they're not going to be playing any Kalista lanes this series.
Gentlemen, as the resident stats man, okay, Rakan is Trymbi's most played, most successful. 41 professional games, 85% win rate. Pivoted away from that to go to Alistar, which is 3 games, all of which are wins, but it's 100%. Mathematically speaking, that's a higher win rate, and that sets up things well for Fnatic fans.
Oh, Trevor, yeah. I mean, the Alistar makes so much sense into Varus Rell. It's just such a good pick. Are we getting every Urgot here? He's been pinched a lot. Poppy is another champ that he's been playing. They have got a couple of dashes. Just go even and play the tank, so no surprise there from Ebby, but the Zeri was a pick that they played in the first round of the playoffs, I believe, Fnatic, and they lost 2-0 that series against SK, trying to play things like the Zeri Braum, and it didn't really work. It wasn't their meta style. Coming in their prep, they said wasn't the best, but now they're running the Zeri again. It has been picked around the world a little bit on this patch, and the Alistar, I think, is the big key change here for Fnatic. Very heavy AD, I must say, especially against champions like the Poppy. Zeri will help out a little bit with that, but it's the Trundle that makes it so this AD comp can function.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is going to be a case of, like, can you try and play around Razork in the early stages, like get in to face the Maokai and buy space for the squad? Because I think if you have to face check on Heretics, you're going to be a little bit more uncomfortable, but if you control a river, there's no hope Fnatic are moving through any of these choke points.
Dagda, my head is telling me that Fnatic's team composition is going to be a slightly more nuanced, slightly more difficult composition to initiate with. They don't have Rell, Maokai, Chain of Corruption. It feels to me like those tools are there, and for a team that, when we saw them lose against SK, they weren't able to start fights. They weren't playing proactive. I get a little nervous, so I want to see how well they utilize the comp they put together with that poke.
Yeah, I think Alistar is going to help out quite a bit. Even the slows that you can get from Zeri, a lot of poke coming through from Zeri and from the Jayce as well. And just trying to see if you can slow down those opportunities for the opposition to get their position that they want to. But I think when you're coming into this, ease of access definitely is on Heretics side. And this is like a composition that they like to run.
Jayce poke, Trundle pillar, Zeri W through the pillar as well. Lots of poke coming out here. We'll see if Heretics can avoid it and set up those fights.
Oh, I love that. I completely forgot about the interaction of the shock laser through the pillar. Will it work out for Fnatic? We'll find out as we hit the rift. So Thank you so much, everybody here in Berlin and everyone watching at home. Game number 1, Fnatic versus Team Heretics. Best of 5 between these two squads. Taking a quick look down the course of Summoners. No gigantic surprises, but I think the man on your screen right now, Noah and the Zeri, a little bit of discussion around it. I think we actually were casting the game where it fell apart a bit, or myself and Vetheo maybe. Didn't work out for Fnatic, but they've had a tale of two halves, right? Fnatic's first best of series in groups, not their typical selves. Last week, came back in roaring form.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, though, was Fnatic trying to get used to the patch. Like, as we talked about, coming into their first game against SK, they gave across, like, Maokai, Tristana, the Kai'Sa, a lot of the power picks that you would want to try and get on your side, and they gave it over to red side. So I think now they're a little bit more comfortable, but this is still a bit of a bizarre one, right? The fact that we do have Zeri in the bot lane, this is something that Noah still obviously believes in, especially when it was Fnatic who pinched that AD carry pool.
And the reason that I do want to, like, dig back into memory is, like, on the other side of the rift, Team Heretics come into this, what, 4-0? They haven't dropped the game. Fantastic run, surprises, everyone's so hyped. Jankos and Team Heretics. But their combined kills per minute is 0.7. They've spent 40% of their game time in a major deficit, and their average gold of 14 is minus 1.3k. I mean, their come-from-behind wins are phenomenal, Caedrel.
Comeback kids, we'll see if they can continuously pull it off, finding these miracle team fights, even from the regular season up against, I think it was Vitality on that bot tier 3 when they were sieging with that huge gold lead, coming back with the Kai'Sa and the Ziggs at the time, I think it was.
Yeah, I think as well, just the fact that we've seen Heretics kind of be a little bit less rigid, I want to say, in their game plans. Like, it has been a case of, hey, we're going to leave Flakked in bot lane, we're going to go up and we'll try and fight for Rift Heralds and stuff, but we're not really going to overcommit to anything. But it feels like in their last couple of series, they've been way more open to, hey, let's try and move Mersa around the map. Let's try and have him link up with Jankos, even Vetheo go for some scraps in River. So I think Heretics have definitely been more open to not just sticking to the same game plan every single time, which is why teams are getting caught out by it.
Keep a close eye on those junglers. Where do their first moves come from? Mersa steps forward with that shattering strike, and the wave is being pushed towards Fnatic's bottom lane, so Razork already with the first move will step on that one in a moment.
His bot doesn't have push, he's in a gank here. Level 2 has come through with the Alistar, but he's on a ward, so that should be easy for Heretics to play around. Now he's using a lot of time here, is Razork. Jankos has cleared out his top side. The sapling in the bush will let Razork know that Jankos is in fact here. He might need to pull Humanoid and ask him. You can see the shock blast the wave. Maybe he's asking Humanoid to try and push back a bit. And if he doesn't want to invade here, just go to his top side. His bot lane's on the tower. He'd get collapsed on. It's not really worth the risk.
Yeah, you can already see Mersa and Flakked were starting to roam up there to make sure that they're all fine. So Razork going to have to go up towards this top end of the map. But I am curious to see how this tries to continue, because I think Razork, as we talked about, like, he's gone for press the attack. He wants to try and get in the face. He's not gone lethal tempo, so wants to try and fight early against Jankos, but not really in a position at the moment to do so, while Noah and Trymbi don't have control over bot lane.
Yeah, double dematerializer in bot as well. So they're going to go AP builds. I wonder if we can look at Flakked and Mersa here hovering in the bush. They could try and jump onto Noah here, but Trymbi will peel very easily. Sweeper could come out, to just spot them in the bush, and Trymbi can easily walk up. In trouble though.
Shot anyway. Good damage in reply. Hail of arrows, piercing arrow to boot, flash away from Trymbi. Ignite traded for the flash, and Trymbi kind of stepping into that, knowing full well they were there. Good trade here for Team Heretics bottom lane.
Trymbi is going to have to reset.
He needs to be careful here. This reset is really risky.
Now flash forward, pulls backwards, and Trymbi is punished by Heretics bottom lane.
I wonder if he thought he was out of vision there, and he was nowhere near to properly hugging the wall around. I'd love to see that first blood replay from Heretics' point of view. Because Mersa got the remount and the flash flip, right? There's nowhere you can go. Flakked good flash to commit, but that recall was just a little bit too greedy.
And look at where Jankos is now as well. He's leaning down towards this bottom side, so could even maybe look to try and push Noah off the tower if he wants to. Although, I'm keeping my eyes on Trymbi as well. He's not actually going back towards his bot side. Might be looking for a play on top end.
So, here comes the initial trade where Trymbi has to burn the flash. He even saw them with the sweeper, so that was the first sign kind of mistake, quote-unquote. Then he decides to reset. I wonder if it's like the ignite that takes revision. No, it's not. He's just not hugging the wall properly. They see him just as he goes for the reset, so Mersa knows that he can walk up. Oscar, though.
And that was why Trymbi got punished. Now,
heavy solo kill.
Find the solo kill onto Oscar.
He's fine as well.
That is not a sentence I was expecting to say. Flash still available. Gets over the pillar of ice. Stunned under the tower, and one more wallop. Fnatic take one back.
I mean, Ebi traded 1 for 1 though, still has his TP to get back, so in the grand scheme of things, this is actually a brilliant trade for Ebi.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like if he flashed the combo there, he would have 100% gotten out as well, which is a bit of a shame. Manages to get the kill, but does give one back in return, but that's an insane solo kill already onto Oscar.
And not a sentence I was anticipating this early in this series. Ebi is one of the players that has been, let's say, criticized. He's also playing a champion he's only played once this entire year. This is the second time on the Poppy. And into Oscar, who's picked up so many solo kills last week, Team Heretics, a minor gold lead, and that solo kill in the top lane going to help him out.
Both side lanes are winning for Heretics. Maybe the CS difference in top is a little bit of a struggle right now for Evie, but that's a solo kill on top, it's a 2v2 kill on bot. I mean, jungle hasn't really been able to get involved. Razork just cleaning up that kill towards the top side, still has his flash, but of course, with side lanes winning, Heretics can then start to force these neutrals. There's the dragon already started up. Looks like it should be pretty free, but Razork's on the way. Trymbi has no flash. Vetheo looks like he's got a little bit of mid-push, but it looks like they're walking to contest. It's very difficult, though.
I was going to say, this is the downside of having that top side play not really go your direction. Trymbi isn't there to help Noah with the wave, so you automatically get pushed there for Heretics, so they're able to drift over, and you can see they were thinking about trying to do something, but the wave under bot tower, there's nothing they can do. And it looks at the moment like Heretics, this is their type of game. Slow and steady. And when Fnatic lost against SK, it was these type of scenarios where they didn't want to be in. I
mean, I want to just take a moment to talk about these early game, approaches, because Fnatic, when they have found success, it's when they generate leads in the early game. They've, in their wins in summer, they have a gold lead of 14, they have a positive KD, they secure those first bloods a lot. By contrast, Team Heretics, on the other hand, have had fairly good objective control throughout the course of the summer group stage. I mean, look at that. 60-odd% Drake percentage, Herald percentage, Barons, those are the things we're going to look at. So when you consider they've got that first dragon already, maybe looking for another play, hunting down Razork, who will be able to get away from Vetheo's ultimate, running into the waiting hands of Abby. Razork's got no support, no backup, and the kill is secured. Not done yet as Mersa in a little bit of trouble yet, jumping onto Humanoid, but another kill goes the way of Team Heretics.
Yeah, nice roam coming across from Mersa. The fact that you had that push meant that Humanoid was trying to support Razork, but once he saw that the Rell was in the lane, he was like, well, I can't go to help you, it's 3v2. And it also denies Humanoid the opportunity to actually get the plate in mid, so really good cover from Heretics.
These deaths are just, they just feel unnecessary. I mean, the 2v2 bots, Trymbi could have just recalled in a safer spot, not gotten picked off with using his flash. Razork's invading Raptors, with Vetheo already leaning to his side and Mersa missing from bot. Top player, we didn't really obviously see the replay, but maybe Oscar going a bit too deep on the lane to actually get Abby some CC for the setup on the gank and then ends up dying. So sloppy play here from Fnatic, but good punish from Heretics. Really nice roam there from Mersa using that bot push after that kill into the mid lane.
The problem is now again though, Flakked and Mersa pushing bot, they're going to look for the reset. Herald's about to spawn, so they can easily start to rotate towards that. Vetheo even has his TP to get back to lane here as well, so I think you're in a really good spot here for Heretics to actually set up for a Herald play, and I think Fnatic are just going to have to see if they can try and trade for plates on Noah instead.
Seems to be the case, Dagda. Look at the mini-map there, and he's Mersa moving to back up Jankos. Abby, no TP, no flash, and Humanoid, he's running his way back to that middle lane. If you take a quick look at the CS numbers, with the exception of that top lane being minorly in the lead for Oscar, because of the fact that he's got that kill under his belt, gold difference is insignificant. There isn't an advantage anywhere on the map, and it doesn't seem to be a rush for the Herald right now. You can see Abby stepping into the river, placing the vision down, while Jankos is clearing out that Brambleback. May be able to have the backup, but Mersa's made his way down bottom as well, so not exactly rushing for that objective.
I thought they'd try and go a little bit quicker for that, just use the fact that Mersa had the roam. Flakked could try and clear out waves, but I think maybe they were just worried about Flakked being alone underneath the tower against Trymbi's Alistar as well with the flashback up, so end up covering him instead. But I think at the moment, you're still in an okay spot here as Heretics, as Oscarinin goes in.
Damage there from Abby. Oscar trying to trade back and forth, takes a hammer to the face.
And that's a bit low. It's a bit of a pain. Fight in bot though. Trymbi Q flash.
Goes for the engage. Chain of Corruption comes up. Mersa's able to use that W to escape for now. Razork stepping forward. The piercing arrow of the minions. Trymbi's not going to get taken out. That melee minion not in range. Vetheo is wandering his way to this bottom lane and is on vision.
Razork no flash.
Out that ward. Razork gets pulled backwards. Is his fate sealed once more? Subjugate, chomp, and the wallop's not enough. Another kill to Vetheo and to Team Heretics overall.
Heretics are styling on Fnatic. Flakked with the flash predict on Trymbi. He knew that the Alistar was going to try and go for that combo, so immediately flashes away and sets up beautifully then for Heretics to turn around that bot side play.
Yeah, Jankos looking for some kind of top dive here. It's going to place the pink. Abby can land the stun if he can get the W down, but Humanoid's actually roamed from mid. This could backfire quite quickly if they don't get it done quick.
Leader stepping away for now. Abby's a little bit low. Jankos.
No flash.
Not a threat for the moment. He was able to secure the Rift Herald just a second ago. while that bottom lane play was taking place. They don't find the kill, but they got the objective.
Still though, you can see Fnatic are trying desperately to cover this. Trymbi again moving up towards this top side, but you're not really netting anything, and you're going all in on a Cassante, which isn't going to work.
Trymbi's going in really early here, isn't he? W's in, Q flash, insane predict by Flakked to know that this Q flash was coming in. Manages to escape despite the exhaust. If that Q landed, he would have got exhausted and Trymbi would chase him down for the stun, and I think Fnatic's extremely lucky here that Trymbi manages to live. A lot of damage coming out of the bot lane of Heretics, but then Razork gets caught because of mid push. Humanoid was leaning topside and catching a wave, and then Vetheo just moves down, no flash. Tries to trade it back with the ultimate onto Mersa, but doesn't quite have the damage alongside that heal. And Humanoid's the one who might be in trouble here. See if Mersa can land the knock. Just gonna early flash.
Respect flash there, didn't want to run the risk. Actually gets a tiny bit of return damage. He managed to pick up one plate under that little bit of play, but for the time being, it is once again Team Heretics. They're around 1,000 gold up, and Dragon spawning in 10 seconds.
And they're just playing so well off their lane states, right? Every time we've been talking about how they're making their plays, it's okay, we've got push and bot, let's roam Mersa towards mid, but now...
Alright, static shift, V-static shift, Chain of Corruption is out, burst and zap, and not landing those shots for now. Flakked 100, not gonna be able to take down Zeri. He gets 20, 23. Mersa goes forward, uses that Magnet Storm. Trymbi's coming in to try save the day. No flash, no cleanse, not much no one can do, but his damage is a lot. Not enough. Connection from Mersa, finally taken out by Vetheo. And Fnatic trying to roam back down. They get the reply. There was no that won the 1v1.
No, it did shut down the opportunity though for Heretics to actually get the Dragon. Flakked had push and bot. You would have been able to lean in with Vetheo having control over mid with Jankos, but instead now Fnatic should be the ones getting the Dragon, but might be a contest.
It is indeed. Nature's Grasp.
Humanoid, no flash.
Vetheo steps in. The Dragon is secured. The target is Humanoid, and his fate is sealed. That soul was unbound, and Vetheo, with his 4th kill of the game, is starting to run away. Nearly 1,000 gold up over Humanoid.
A lot of action coming through already. Big lead now for that Yone. It's going to be a horror on side lane, but good solo kill here by Noah. Actually, I think he drops a pink board. Maybe it was by accident. Maybe he thought he had a health potion there, but you can see as he's weaving in the ultos, a pink board just appears behind him and a ward in front. So actually maybe he wanted to ward the bush, but of course with them moving the mouse so quickly and trying to weave in the ultos, those things can happen. Mersa gets a lot of damage down and smartly decides not to take the kill, wants to give it over to Vetheo. So that gives Noah a little bit more uptime where you think maybe he can trade back, but easy kill for the Yone. Fnatic need to deny that Dragon like you talked about, Dagda, so they managed to get the objective but lose Humanoid in response.
And now you're in a position with, I mean, first items completed now for Yone and the Varus. You're going to have the Rift Herald that you can try and play for off this massive, massive Yone as well. So I think things are looking pretty dire for Fnatic in this first one. Heretics have been playing the map smarter, and now Fnatic are kind of falling behind.
Of course, for Fnatic, do have that poke. They are able to set up those objectives. I think the fact they denied that second Dragon could be huge for them, buying some time. Oscar maybe continue to trade back and forth. I mean, look, it's a 20 CS advantage to Oscar's Cassante. Because of the kills, the advantage and the plates are, balancing things out here for Ebby. They're happy to extend this play for now.
I think what we're going to see at the moment is Flakked just try and quickly clear out these waves in mid thanks to the static shiv, and then immediately try and move in towards bot side with Jankos. You can look towards Vetheo as soon as that ultimate's up. I think you just look for the dive on towards Humanoid when he's left alone in the bot lane. There's pretty much nothing that you can do as here as Fnatic. You're just not strong enough to go against them.
Play the King Yone, yeah, it's so strong. It's like they're trying to put their Yone on side lane to put their bot lane mid so that Flakked's not under any kind of pressure. I feel like when he's in a long lane, like bot lane when Alistar has flash, it's good that he flashed the first one, but the second one will be even harder, so putting them mid just gives him a shorter lane so that he can be a lot safer and close to the tower, and then Jankos can play a lot more easily towards mid. Vtheo's ahead at level 11 now, so he should be able to win out on the side lane once he gets a little bit of vision, but no neutral objective for the next 1 minute and 40 seconds with the Herald spawning soon. But it's Oscar that's doing well, despite getting solo killed there, proxying top, getting plates in isolation, and I think that's what they expected out of this Cassante blind pick with the Renekton ban on blue side up against Ebby.
Not many people expected Ebby to find that solo kill despite being ganked either, so that's a good sign here for Team Heretics as they are once again on the offensive. I think for the first 14 minutes of this game, it's probably fair to say Team Heretics have been a little bit more proactive, landed a few more of those punches, look to create those opportunities where they do have the first Dragon. They've got several additional kills, they've got a couple extra plates. And for a team like Fnatic, when they are less active in the early game, that is when we have seen them struggle. So let's see how they bounce back now. We've passed that 14 minutes. I mean, look, no tower has fallen. It's still 2 minutes till the next Dragon, and they're still very close. This game is by no means entirely over here. But for Team Heretics, they've got all those initiation tools, and they're on the hunt, Dagda.
That's the problem, though. When Heretics are able to take control over a river like this, how do you try and contest it as Fnatic? Like, you maybe got Trymbi who can walk in, but into Mersa, into Jankos, into, I mean, even Vetheo's ultimate as well. Like, that is a disgusting moment to try and walk through if you're in any of these chokes. So for Heretics, with Flakked able to keep control over mid with the static shiv, it becomes nigh on impossible for Fnatic to really keep control. So these dragons, as far as I'm concerned, should, and Rift Herald as well, would probably just keep going to Heretics because they can command River first.
Yeah, they're the ones who can pull the trigger. There's two options here on the map for both teams, and it's Fnatic. It's up to them as well how they respond. They could put numbers top here, you know, have Humanoid behind Oscar, try and force that first tower top in Ebby's face while they're losing out. Or they could just try and play for bot tower here, you know, just drop the Herald completely and avoid any kind of fight as much as Humanoid has TP. He probably just wants to push in here, get first bot tower, and then Heretics, if there's no response from Fnatic, Vetheo can just go down and defend it, but I think he's too late. He's gonna be a little bit too late to this bot tower. Trymbi's right behind Humanoid, ready for any kind of dive. So I think they will trade this first tower for a Herald.
Sort of playing out exactly like Dagda was saying just a second ago. And of course, you just saw that graphic at the bottom of your screen. Whoever wins here plays Exile tomorrow. If you have just joined us and missed Ready Check, just a quick reminder for both Fnatic and Team Heretics. If they win, they are in season finals, have a shot at Montpellier, have a shot at making it to the World Championship. Either squad loses here, the year is over. What did you say, Caedrel? A quick 5 months vacation after tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
So that is what is at stake here for both of these squads. The Herald was picked up. It is once again in Jankos' back pocket. Decides where he wants to drop that. But I think with the next Dragon coming up, we really want to see how Fnatic either find a way in or maybe try to utilize that poke in those narrow areas of the map.
I imagine Heretics will use this Rift Herald to guarantee mid-prio and then start to move in, although with 7 seconds there, they're just walking in, and you can see Fnatic, they have to back away. Heretics have so much engaged.
Where's the poke? There's the short blast already onto Mersa. W doesn't connect from Noah. I think Fnatic, like I said, like when it comes to the engage, Heretics have so much space control with the Maokai ult, with the Yone, with the Varus ult. It's very hard to walk up, it's very dangerous. They need to poke them out, need to find some damage onto anyone, and it's currently missing at the moment. Herald to be blocked, Vetheo trying to force out the Alistar ult.
Jumps onto Trymbi, he's held the flash, he's held the exhaust, he's held the ultimate. Shelly is dropped and into that middle lane. Will secure the first tower here for Team Heretics, and with that tower dropping, now steps back into the river. Both top laners have teleport available. Fnatic will be quite happy that Oscar will secure the top outer turrets. I think Ebby was able to back. It's been a little bit of that gold. And they haven't started the Dragon yet, respecting the potential poke here from Fnatic.
There is a tiny ward just at the back of the pit here that maybe you could try and go for if you want to as Oscarinin and get in behind, grab Flakked and see if maybe you can make a play, but it looks like for Fnatic, they're just not even going to bother. They're going to immediately move top and try and use the fact that Oscarinin had that control because he cancelled his reset.
This Yone and Varus are way too accelerated for a mid-game fight. 2 items on the Varus. The Yone has 4 kills. Anyone walks in from Fnatic, they're just going to get destroyed, so there's no real point in fighting that. Just going to have to wait, I think. Fnatic wait for 2 items on Zeri, wait for Merman on Jayce, Zeri does, and start shredding through with more poke damage, and hopefully they can find better angles. Oscar, of course, managed to get that top tower. He needs more gold. He needs to be more tanky, because he's the one who will be tanking the brunt of these ultimates, and needs to make sure that he can withstand it.
I mean, these teams are just, 600-700 gold apart at this point in time. Fnatic have got the tower advantage. They've secured at least one of those dragons, so the soul timer is still quite a while away. And I think definitely feeling comfortable, I think, in terms of just buying time, buying itemization. But in order to build some faith, for me at least, I want to see Fnatic use this poke. I want to see them set up for these objectives, because I think that it feels to me like they're sort of responding more often than being proactive.
They need to try and find some sort of pick to make that happen, though, because at the moment, with the way the game is going, it's so easy for you to get side lane control with Vetheo, especially with bot lane tower down, and also in mid lane with mid lane tower down. So when it comes to these objectives, Fnatic need to actually try and find a way to catch Heretics as they're setting up vision, but Heretics are just grouping and making it impossible to do so.
Maokai is such a powerful champ. I think it's even with the Jayce, it's one thing with the poke, but the ultimate in fights just does so much work. Kasante here, Oscar being pinged, maybe some kind of pick being made. Humanoid, if he TP's in, he will die. It's just a case of whether they can get Oscar down.
He's got that flash. He's got the all-out. Vision secured. The rest of Fnatic not really able to respond. And Flakked using as many of those autos as possible. Oscar survives a few seconds longer than I was anticipating, but the kill is secured by Vetheo, the 5th of the game. And Razork do not take this trigger yet. The rest of the squad's backing away. He'll just be a bit of an annoyance there to Mersa.
Still, though, you got Fnatic who are now taking the push in mid. don't get the tower, as Evie's able to roam over, but at least we'll be able to get some vision on bot side to try and trade, but it's again just Heretics controlling the
Vetheo has 5 kills, he has 2 items, I think he's building towards a Guardian Angel or something now. Normally the Yone gets one shot in fights, and that's the only risk that you take when you go too deep, but this Yone is going to be an absolute nightmare for Fnatic. I feel like Vetheo has been having incredible performances in more recent times when things like the Kai'Sa comes to mind, and now this Yone already so far ahead.
Okay, question for you now, as we move towards the later stages here. Trymbi locks in this Alistar. Shocking, a little bit surprising, not a pick we're familiar with too often. No is forced to cleanse there. I think it's fair to say some missteps in the laning phase from Trymbi's Alistar. But how crucial is he going to be for these team fights once we do start playing out? Because when you consider this Fnatic comp, I think having that Alistar on the front line, buying some time, it feels like it has to be important.
Yeah, the Alistar against the Poppy is going to be a bit tough for Trymbi, isn't it? He's going to have to find some kind of flash combo when Evie's been caught off guard or if he's a little bit split away from Flakked. The question with Fnatic is, what does the Alistar actually do? It counterpicks Rell in the sense that, you know, you can knock the Rell away or try to prevent engages, and it does give you some form of engage, because Fnatic lacks a lot of that. But where's the follow-up if you flash combo a Varus? You know, is it a pillar? You know, is that all they're going to have to work with here? So as much as I like the idea of Alistar engaging, I think he's going to be more of a disengager this time around so that Noah and Humanoid can stay at range. But Heretics have so much dive potential from almost every single member. So there's a lot to defend them, Crop. So they need more damage. And when you get early game, it's hard to build for survivability items. Oscar might just be caught again. Humanoid's TPing in.
Case, Jankos 2 seconds away from the ulti, will not even be needed. Humanoid completes the teleport. The rest of Fnatic trying to get in range. They've already lost Oscar. Now they've turned their attention to Humanoid. 2 quick kills for Heretics, and the Baron standing too.
Vetheo has TP, he's gonna base and TP in. This should be an easy Baron. There's no way Fnatic can fight it whatsoever. I feel like Heretics own the entire map. Fnatic are too scared to fight them anywhere, so they're not contesting any river vision. And Oscar just gets caught again in the exact same spot.
I mean, the decisions from Fnatic in this game has already made me question everything, to be honest. Like, you're coming in, they ban the Xayah and they ban the Kai'Sa. They don't put any sort of priority on the AD carry, and they lose out in the AD carry pool. And then as well, with the Alistar, Trymbi hasn't looked comfortable on it, and now Oscarinin seems to be the one strong point, and he's massively overextended and getting caught out.
I just think Maokai is the pick of the series again.
Yeah.
As much as you want to first pick Jayce Trundle, no real agency. The Yone is a good response in playing safe and waiting under tower. They don't really have any kill pressure on the Yone after 6, it feels like. And Jayce really hasn't been able to get himself in the game.
And we saw the same in the G2 and Excel series, right? Maokai, 100% win rate in that series. 4 games was played, 4 wins, and I think it's going to be the very same here.
100%.
When it's so easy for you to actually set up for these objectives. Like, you don't need to have control of the air. You just lob a sapling in there and go, cool, are we safe? And then if you aren't, well, you just throw out the ultimate and walk away. Like, it's so simple to actually try and play this champion in these sort of scenarios.
And normally you want Maokai with Jayce or Tristana, but now we see Yone as well in this series. So it's a case of, if Fnatic want to prioritize that and go back blue side and first pick it, and Tristana is down alongside the Jayce again, what does Humanoid have up his sleeve?
It is fantastic though to see Vetheo performing again, because especially after the disappointment that we saw last year from like coming into this, it has been absolutely fantastic to see him pick up the Kai'Sa, have like 50% of his team damage, set a new record. Like, it was phenomenal. And now he's coming in onto the first game against Fnatic here when it's do or die, and it's Vetheo again, 6-0, looking great on his champions.
Well, for all of Team Heretics, I think all of their respective lanes were able to generate advantages, right? There was the kill in the bottom lane punishing Trymbi. Evie was able to find that a solo before he was taken down himself. And then Jankos has now started to punish Oscar's positioning on those side lanes. So the third dragon was secured, playing for that soul. It's now 4.5 minutes away. Red Bull Baron power play is fully online. And you can see Vetheo and Flakked standing head and shoulders above their respective opponents. And Ebby's going to be pretty content. He's dead even despite being down 40 on CS, 2 items completed. And more importantly, he's got a W and an off, which are going to be huge in dealing with Fnatic in any of these fights and these skirmishes.
Sorry, I was not expecting the Iceborne Gauntlets to be finished on Vetheo there. Not a pick that we see very often, but I suppose when you're up against the double AD, that's going to help it quite a bit. It's like full armor now since the changes, and even the slows setting up for you to just continue forward. And you kind of see this a good bit with champions when they get very far ahead. It's like, look, I deal enough damage because I'm already level 15, pushing level 16. Well, let's just go for a bit more of the defensive stats.
And I think as well, when you combine the fact it's slow reduction as well as tenacity, into Trundle Pillar, into the Alistar stun, I mean, I can see it being beneficial. Whenever you have those carries that are late game carries that are so far ahead, then yes, buying a defensive item helps a lot.
Yeah, Chovy normally goes for things like the Infinity Edge. Cream normally goes for things like the Gale Force. but it makes a lot of sense. Just defensive items. If you don't get one shot, maybe he's going to build a Guardian Angel after this or a Bloodthirster just to get some more survivability, but I don't blame him. When you're this far ahead, investing in defensive items is never a bad thing when you're so expensive. He should be able to queue out here. Oh, nice try by Humanoid on the knock. Doesn't manage to land it. Vetheo goes back in. It still goes for
so cheeky.
Trouble, maybe?
Gonna use that ultimate, still holding on to the flash, by the way.
So point in case, it's really hard to kill Vetheo.
Yes,
But when you look at Heretics, they're going to benefit from it. They get topside, they're able to push that in because everyone on Fnatic is chasing this Yone.
And Dagda, that's kind of the thing that I was anticipating at the end of draft. I was looking at it, I'm like, right, Fnatic, how do you jump, how do you stick to targets when you really want to? And Vetheo demonstrating just how easily he can run away from his squad.
Fnatic's draft just looks a little bit lifeless, doesn't it? Top just plays in isolation. Bot lane gets pushed in 2v2 because they made a mistake in when it comes to Trymbi's recall. So Mersa's then unlocked a bit, and then Humanoid can't really lane in the 1v1 because jungle support's permanently collapsing. Team fights don't get any better. Late game doesn't get any better. I feel like they need to really hone in on this Maokai like we talked about.
And I think if they'd substituted the Varus in for the K'Sante in that third rotation, I think they actually would have been in a better spot. You get control over bot side, you can actually start to play for invades and get control that way and then play for the poke, but not the case, and now Fnatic are paying the bill for it.
Yeah, same thing that happens, like, I know I always bring up LPL and stuff, but it was in series like that, there was been similarities where they pick full top side on 1-2-3, and then the team realizes actually we need AP, and they pick the Varus instead on the 1-2-3 on blue side, and that just makes the draft so much easier when it comes to a damage split, engage, reliability in the draft. And Oscar won't get hit by the flip back. Heretics trying to siege down this bot tier too, but with no Baron buff, it's very difficult to actually force that tower down unless they commit and they threaten the dive, which is exactly what they're doing.
Well, let's see what happens with this nature's draft. 1, 2, 3 members caught up. Mersa lands the Q. The Fate Unsealed was just beautiful from Vetheo. Noah's a little late to the party. And as the minions combo 2x2, the tower falls. That's the 5th secured for Heretics. It's a minute and a half to go until the Dragon, and a number of key ultimates are down. But it's going to be incredibly hard. If Fnatic wants to face check a bush, there's still a ton of CC. So they have to respect to clear the vision out, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, 1 minute, 20 seconds on the soul, just hold position, hold the line. Baron's up in 60. And in times like this, Heretics just need to be a bit careful that Fnatic can't rush down the Baron. If they don't drop the ball on the top side of the map, then I think this team is as good as done. I mean, Fnatic might have one team fight in them now that Noah has the Laure Dominix. Maybe they can try and find some engage, build some armor penetration to get through that front line.
I think your best bet here is Heretics is try and play for 1-4, right? You end up putting Vetheo down on the bot side, have Ebby just stand in front of you, makes it impossible for Fnatic to engage, and you can just then siege up underneath this mid tower, get the last outer tower, and then the world's your oyster. Like, you can easily set up vision then on the top side and deny that opportunity of rushing the Baron or even the Dragon in 40 seconds.
Yeah, they just have to keep it simple. Jayce has no flash. There's no world where Humanoid can walk up against Poppy, Maokai, Rell with summoners. Even if he shows against Varus, Flakked, if he feels confident, can R flash forwards with the ultimate. If he times the stopwatch nicely on the re-engage, and now actually they're going to look to bait the Baron with the saplings, and with the Varus poke it should help. Nice shock blasts landing from Humanoid. Now this is how Fnatic want to set up fights, chunk them out. They're a little bit far behind, which is the only problem, but Flakked's already half HP.
There's 20 seconds until Soul. Baron is up as well. Bounties on that outer tower. Fnatic continuing to control the middle lane. Oscar stepping forward, interrupted by Poppy for now. Keeper's Verdict is available. It's going to start to channel. The Poppy Copter won't find a target yet, holds on to it. As Jankos has bought time with Nature's Grasp. That burst damage from Flakked burns Razork apart. Mersa pushing forward with the Magnet Storm. Vetheo shut down, kill secured for Fnatic, and Berlin comes alive. 1, 2, 3, make that a 4th on the board. Ebby will be able to at least get one back with the help of Flakked. But here comes Noah and Oscarinin. They're looking to ace Team Heretics in the mid lane and find a foothold back in this game.
What an incredible fight from Fnatic. They're going to deny the soul, they're going to get the Baron, and now they're back in the game with their poke comp. What happened to Vetheo? He died in the blink of an eye. Oscar gets a nice knock onto Ebby here and then lands the ultimate. Trymbi actually whiffs the combo a bit by queuing into the ground and not landing on the Poppy. You see here, queues the ground. Maybe he didn't expect him to flash away, but he just gets the combo up in time for when Vetheo goes in. But how does he die so quickly? What hit him?
Especially when he has the Iceborne Gauntlet. Like, he's got that tankiness, but whiffs entirely, then gets comboed, and Humanoid, Oscarinin just able to rip him to shreds.
Humanoid, yeah, just took him out. Jankos nowhere to go. Nice try here by Trymbi to W, then Q flash the Varus, but missed it a little bit. And then the cleanup crew comes in, and now Fnatic, with all those kills and with the Baron and with this comp, to just look to poke them down. Now they have the damage and the items to really fight back.
And I think it was a bit of a mistake from Heretics to put Ebby onto bot side, which meant that they didn't really have any threat onto the bottom turret. So Fnatic were like, great, we're just going to keep shoving in the mid lane, get a bunch of poke down, and then Ebby TPing into the middle of Fnatic just set them up beautifully. And Fnatic, fair juice to them, capitalized beautifully.
Yeah, it's smart to just play through mid and fight through mid. Hold my point a second here, because Trymbi could be in trouble, gets stunned up, has the ultimate, but I think he might just get shredded straight down by the AP Varus. And down he goes, manages to survive and has the Baron recall, but I actually doubted Fnatic's comp when it came to the raw straight up fights. They went through mid, so they avoided the Maokai, which is good. But they got so much damage onto Vetheo. Razork though.
Oh, of course, keep in mind, Vetheo didn't find a target, but Zork subjugates, buying a lot of time, but not enough to save his life.
Well,
all of a sudden, knows the next target. He goes golden, despite the Baron, despite the team fight. Now it is.
Do they win the game from this? Is it over? Like what? What's happening?
Team Heretics just find an opportunity.
It's over.
They engage. They punish.
They lost the game.
Kill Fnatic. And Team Heretics have just won.
They just lost the game, Fnatic. Maybe Humanoid can save it. There's a wave coming in. 30 seconds on. Razork, I think Heretics can just push for the win.
Yeah, I mean, the fight's in mid. They go to Fnatic and Heretics are like, no. That's not how this game goes. They whip it back around. Vetheo onto Humanoid, trying to see if he can get the kill.
Humanoid's buying so much time. 13 seconds for Razork. 12 for Trymbi. Humanoid gets some damage onto Ebby, the help of the tower as well, with the minions under the Nexus. The first tower is falling. Humanoid's been zoned away and pushed. The second secured. And Team Heretics look to strike first in this best of 5.
What just happened in the last 5 minutes? Heretics threw the entire game away, got 5-man ace for 1 onto Trymbi, and then Fnatic got Baron and denied soul. You fast forward a minute, and then Fnatic get aced and lose the entire game, dying one by one. And Heretics just close it out that.
It's the classic Dragon and Baron trade for Nexus. You know, you just got to work for that as Heretics. It worked out beautifully. I don't know.
They finished so many items. There was an Abyssal Mask, a Spirit
1,000 gold shutdown,
a Spear of Shojin, you know, a BF Sword, a Stopwatch. They had so much more gold to go even. And they just got caught.
Listen, this was a wild ending to game 1 because of how it played out. We did learn a couple of things. If you had turned the nameplates off up until that mid lane fight, I would have thought Fnatic was Team Heretics. Because it was Fnatic that fell behind early. Fnatic found a way to come back in this game, which is how Team Heretics had won the previous games. But then almost just like lost focus or something. But let's be fair, Fnatic got punished several times throughout that game. Oscar caught on the top lane, Trymbi caught on the bottom lane as well.
I mean, Trymbi gets caught, then Razork, and then I think Noah gets caught by the end of the Yone ultimate, and then Oscar dies, and then Humanoid is just standing there like,
yes, bruh, what am I meant to do?
But I think that's the thing, though. When you say, like, swap the nameplates, honestly, this is what I expected from Fnatic, right? They don't get control of the early stages. They don't really know how to play, and SK was a prime example of this. When they got leads in the early stages for SK, Fnatic just didn't really know how to play the map, and Heretics were playing off of wave states well. They were looking for those early dragons and making it difficult for Fnatic to play the game.
If I reword that, so for Fnatic, if they don't gain control of the early game, they haven't demonstrated to us enough, confidence, but when they do get control of the early game, then obviously they can run away with it. So I think scratching ahead on the draft a little bit, I'm very intrigued to see what changes. But Team Heretics, they win game number 1. Good luck to the analysts to explain those last 5 minutes.
Not going to happen.
Not gonna happen?
No.
Eventually, yes.
All right.
Eventually, but we have to get there first.
Yeah, so when it comes to Heretics, I was surprised that they kept the pressure for once. Usually, I mean, we saw one team fight mid lane where they could have thrown. I want to talk about the draft maybe first here. We had some surprises, I think, on the mid lane. We knew that Jayce was going to be one of the central picks here. Vetheo answering with the Yone, and it was quite unstoppable afterwards.
Yeah, I think this was the first draft where I also thought to myself, this is one of the scenarios that if a team picked red side, it would have made sense to me. It's not what happened here. Fnatic still picked blue side. But the reason why I'm saying this is because they landed on 3 OPs being up. And the reason why that matters is, as blue side, of course, you have the luxury of being able to first pick that OP. But on red side, you now have 2. So if you land on a number that's 3 when you're letting OPs open, you get the Rell and Maokai on the second rotation, which is absolutely perfect. The Yone was obviously pre-prepared, knowing that they would probably prioritize the Jayce themselves, having it in here. So I think this was just really great drafting from Heretics in general.
Oh, yeah. We can jump straight into the Yone here, I suppose, because this is the type of champion where Vetheo can take over map. This is exactly what I wanted to see. And it wasn't even just him like teaming up with Jankos. Like this fight, they run into the jungle, punish Razork for trying to walk in, which was a lot of the theory, I think, behind this Trundle pick, having a strong, aggressive jungler that can fight into the face of the Maokai. But Vetheo finding these windows where like the minions hadn't even crashed in mid lane, so he's running into the fog of war, looking for it. Here, there's a base in mid lane teleporting back. He has the support of Jankos can move down here. Noah's going for this fight while, you know, the rest of the team was sort of playing back. And while he does win, respect to him, this was another kill that Vetheo is able to roam down for and farm away, and he loses nothing in mid lane for it because he had the full wave pushed out. It's very easy to reset, run back into mid lane after getting another shove down bot. Yeah, and even finding this pick here, I thought to myself, Humanoid doesn't have flash. Yeah, you get the Drake, but you're going to be giving over another kill. And to go back to your point, Laure, with the early pressure we saw from Team Heretics, they were really good at finding the targets, blowing their flash, finding a new situation where it was just easy landing their pick comp. Like their champions, there's outplay potential against them if you have that flash. But if you are completely immobile against Rell, against Yone, you're dead. And I'd actually love to like continue talking about the draft a little bit here.
We can watch it again, yeah.
Because I think that Fnatic were really concerned about the engage options. Already with the Rell Maokai opening, that's going to be a struggle. And with AD mid showing on both sides, there's a little bit of an arms race for finding AP bot laners down there with already the Kai'Sa being removed. So you can see like the Seraphine that Flakked had gone for being taken away. You know, mage bot lane that has some engage options. The Ashe too, another thing we've seen popping up. So I think Heretics were actually really happy that Varus is still an option, right? He went for the full AP build, going for the Riftmaker, which you saw the burst and the frontline shred with % HP damage is absolutely insane. It also gives them yet another engage option. So Fnatic, they'd love to take their time a little bit with the Jayce, but the engage is going to be making those fights go really, really quickly.
And that's why I really appreciate the preparation on the side of Team Heretics, because we know how much Evi loves his Cassante, for instance. Here, Fnatic plays it, but it didn't change too much. And as you said, I think the Varus pick was really, really smart here. And I'm just wondering if it's an AD carry that we were going to see rise in the priority list, you think, especially with this AP build, working really well against beefy front lanes like this.
I think for sure it's something you will see when you're in a scenario where you have double AD and you're for sure looking to trim the pool down in the bottom lane. We have seen 6 as well, which can be something that you would see if this continues to rise, specifically when you see Kai'Sa out of the picture, so there's not that AD AP mid lane in the mid lane, of course.
I think the main thing is Fnatic chose to blind pick both of their soul laners, forcing ADs to the second phase. That opened up the pool a lot. So yeah, double ADs or AD mid showing makes Mage's bot lane better, makes AP's bot better, so Varus priority rises. But there was another world here where Fnatic could have delayed the Cassante pick, gone for, you know, a higher priority AD carry, and that could have changed things for sure if they wanted to play AP topside.
So the draft was smart on the side of Team Heretics. The early game was really, really well played, but I remember Jankos telling us last week that they need to work on mid game. They need to work on macro mid game and not actually throw when they're in the driver's seat, which was going pretty well for them, honestly, up until one point.
Yeah, for sure. But I think like the only thing that Team Heretics really needed to do with this draft was just continue to take Drakes when they spawned. They had pressure because they had the early picks they found and the advantages. And then in the top side as well, they kept picking on Oscar leading into the Baron that really blew open the game. And I think that was really the bad part for them, was just him getting caught. But also the fight in general, that made it a bit difficult because you thought for sure after they had acquired Baron that this would be easy for Team Heretics.
You'd think, right? But I think Vetheo gets a little baited of the AP Varus burst. He huge whiffs on the ulti, jumping in there, and gets one-shot by the Jayce, right? The CC lockdown of the Alistar just plays into making it so Vetheo can't actually snap back or anything, and then they get chased down. I think that Fnatic's comp, while it does lack some like heavy engage options of their own, does a really good job of chasing you down if you overcommit into the fight. So seeing that Trymbi was holding on to that combo just for when the Vetheo jumps on in there and he can burst the Yone, it definitely made things fall apart for them, but didn't really change the overall scope of the game, it seemed.
No, because, and that's the issue for me with champions like Jayce in the mid lane. It's really, really hard to recover with this kind of champions, and in the end, even
when he got 1k shut down.
Yeah, and even though Heretics kind of threw this last move, it was not enough, and Fnatic, I guess, came back a bit more.
But what did they come back for, right? Because that's just in the end what we saw from Fnatic. It was a really disjointed fight when they finally threw it again themselves. I thought when we saw the initial fight where Fnatic picked up shutdowns, the soul suddenly was not giving to Team Heretics, and Fnatic got a Baron for themselves. But then they're just split apart. Yeah, Trymbi's in base, Oscar's on the bottom side, 3 members in mid. this team is completely scattered, and you already have Team Heretics, 5 members on one screen, sieging down the mid lane. This was never a team fight. This was just Fnatic being out of position and Team Heretics capitalizing on it.
And look, this is a perfect example of, yeah, probably should have played not so extended mid without the team there. And that is an absolute roller coaster. That's the drop off the roller coaster.
That is the drop.
Splash Mountain. But I was going to say, that is the biggest like advertisement for Xayah in the universe. Obviously, Xayah's getting banned, but we were talking about like the OPs on the patch. Like, Noah, if he is able to be on something like the Xayah, can do a lot better against the heavy engage comp that Team Heretics was running. So an idea, but I'm expecting that to continue getting banned and continue to see Heretics go for comps that look like that.
And I want to see some improvements on the side of Fnatic, because from the praise we gave them during Reddit check to what we saw in game here and dropping the ball so early in game, that's not what I'm expecting from them. So draft is one thing. How do you want the early game to be played out?
Well, I think early game in terms of like, I'm not so sure on the early game. I think that Razork wasn't really enabled a lot. Like, even when he went for like the one invade, he got punished. And on the Trundle, it's really hard for him to find ganks because he was always pre-spotted on Vision in the river.
Yeah, but I just felt like they griefed their counter matchups. I'm sorry, but Trymbi with the first recall in an Alistar into Rell matchup, you're usually quite happy about that matchup as an Alistar. On the top side as well, with Oscar just didn't really find the mark when they ganked him in the beginning. He ended up dying, trading 1-for-1 with Ebby. It just felt like every time there was an early game play for Fnatic, they never came away with it when they had tools to actually get advantages.
And for support, like the double disengage support bans in second phase, I think that was a problem. Fnatic need to recognize the type of comp that Heretics are running with the first 3 picks and then draft specifically to counter it. Fnatic was maybe a little bit spread out in what they were trying to do, and that definitely cost them.
4 games to make it better, and warm up here in this best of 5 as Team Heretics take the first step towards advancing to tomorrow and securing a spot in season finals. How will Fnatic react with the back against the wall? We'll be back right after the break.
Trymbi's gonna have to reset.
He needs to be careful here. This reset is really risky.
Down, flash forward, pull backwards.
It's okay, we've got pushing bot. Let's roam Mersa towards mid for now.
Static shift, V-static shift, Chain of Corruption is outburst and zap and not landing the shots for now. Flakked 100!
I can speed you into Maokai. You W first, don't Q. You W first, don't Q. Oh shit, I'm a... Don't me, he cannot me. I can ult here by there, I can ult here. Like, look, Jayce. Go Nash.
Despite the Baron, despite the team fight, now it is 40.
They win the game for this? Is it over? Like, what? What's happening?
Team Heretics just find an opportunity.
It's over.
They engage, they punish,
They lost the game.
kill Fnatic, and Team Heretics have just won.
They just lost the game, Fnatic.